Hello, everyone, and welcome. Big thanks to everyone who joined us today on Saturday, our weekend. And we are starting our workshop on better UX tools for developers. We are lucky to have Rongxin with us today. He's been in the ecosystem from early days and he knows his stuff. Also, recording of our meeting will be posted in the group as usual. So I believe everyone will learn something new today. And if you have any questions, you're welcome. So Rongxin, microphone is yours. Hi, Rongxin. I don't hear you. Maybe you should go to settings in Telegram and switch output device or input device. Because I have the same.
Hello, what about now?
Oh, yeah. It's good.
You can hear me?
Yes.
But you do not see my screen, right?
Right.
Share screen. What about now?
Yes. Now.
You can
Now.
see. Okay.
Okay, good. You can start.
All right. Well, wait. Tell me if you can still see me, by the way, just in case, or hear me, just to double check.
Yeah, I can hear and I can see you. I see your
Yes.
screen. Yes.
Okay. So, I look a little bit better in the photo, so better photo than camera. So, hello everybody. My name is Rongxin, and a little bit about myself. I originally started at a US company called Zillow when our company was acquired by them, where I was working on the data API, so allowing other software developers to access real estate data. Then I left and went to grad school and worked on a decentralized file storage API back in 2017, 2018. So interacting with IPFS, SIA, and a few other projects. So tools for other developers. And then I went on to build Now Finance, which is the first peer-to-crowd loan protocol, mostly on Ethereum. And now I work with Crypt8, which is one of the OGs in the Ethereum space. They built the original Ethereum Ruby client and also Python client. I know people don't use that much Ruby in the blockchain world, but shout out to Ruby developers. I think we still love you. And then we also built the largest Ethereum proof of work mining pool, which was called Spark Pool. And we were also, and still are, the core devs to a network called Nervos Network. And we're very much developer focused and working on developer tools across various ecosystems. And before I start, I want to just say this is open discussion. 90% of what I say will probably be rubbish. So if you think I'm wrong or if you have anything, please just message me or discuss it, and then we can talk more. So I'm going to keep this a little bit high level, and then but some new thoughts that I've been having. Specifically, why is usability hard in the Web3 space? Well, we have three general problems. One is things need to be user-owned. Secondly, things need to be publicly verifiable. And third is there is a new thing developers have to think about, which is the economics. User-owned means that there's keys that people have to manage to make sure that things are decentralized, that applications cannot control them, the chains cannot control them. Publicly verifiable just means that you cannot allow, we cannot cheat. People have to see us as application developers, what we have built, that we're not cheating. And the economics is, even though we're just building application, everything has an economic factor, like allowing people to front run, various incentives, and even hacks, just purely for money. So today I'm going to focus. I cannot click. Hello? Did my screen freeze? Oh shit. Can you hear me still?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. But today I'm going to focus mostly on the infrastructure aspects and some mental models. I think a general mental model is, if we look at an app, whether it's a mini app or whether it's a website or anything else, let's think of it as an app. It interacts with some sort of a wallet that a user controls, which then interacts with some sort of infrastructure, like a node or indexing service, and which then interacts with a chain or protocol. So here, we're going to call this actually a protocol. Sorry. So there's a few ways that people have been trying to solve the scalability or the usability aspects for applications. They say, well, the first one is what I would call the fat infrastructure idea. It's where there is this big infrastructure layer that controls everything. The idea is that you can think of it as like a centralized exchange, or something like an alchemy even, where they connect with the protocols, let's say the chain, they connect with the wallets, they manage your funds. Everything goes through this big middle layer of infrastructure. So you can think of it as a big central point. Even something like a chain link can be thought of as some ways like this. Then you have the second approach, which is what a lot of things in the, I guess, when people talk about account abstraction, this is where I would call the FAT protocol idea, is where the complexity is now being controlled and managed a lot on the blockchain. So what this means is, let's say the wallet now is just another contract. And all the logic is now within contracts, various contracts. Like in Thon, wallets are just contracts, and you have different versions of the contracts, and all the logics live here. So in the FAT infra, the logic lives within the infrastructure. The FAT protocol, the logic and complexity lives on the chain, on the protocol, and the wallet itself has now moved much more to being just another smart contract. And you can think of in these situations where the complexity, where the logic is also where a lot of the values will go to, and where the usability will be managed, like where it's more usable, essentially where the user almost lives. I would like to propose, I guess, a third idea, which is what I'm calling the FAT app idea. And maybe this is just another word. It's another way of saying things that we've talked about in the past. But the idea is that maybe the application should be where and the application and the wallet is where the value, where the logic, and where the complexities should be. And interacting with the protocol is just a very, it's a very light interaction. And specifically, what is the FAT application idea, and how does it impact usability? The thought for this is that, is it possible to combine the application, like what you see as like the thing that user clicks to, the wallet, and many of the infrastructures that interact with the protocol into a single package or a front-end product that's the user owns and that they control. So combining all into a single thing. Now, why do we want to do this? One of the key challenges is that with blockchains, there is high latency. So when you interact with chain confirmation time, and when you do stuff with things like that's asynchronous, you don't know when something will happen. So there's this big network latency. The second is when people have to go back and forth between the wallet and the application for every click or every interaction, people are essentially leaving the application for another experience that you cannot control as a developer, or even as I see a lot of projects on GitHub for Hacktober around tools for other software developers. And this is the same thing. So people are leaving what you can control. And the last one is, in this case, it becomes, you have less dependencies. So you do not depend on the protocol as much anymore. So in case there are issues, it's easy for you as an application developer, as a tool developer, to move between protocols, chains, and different projects. And I'm not saying people should leave Thon, okay? We all love Thon. But there could be a fork version of Thon. There could be another with different compatibility. Maybe there's a small change, but now you are no longer tied to it. However, one of the challenges to making this work, which I think is still missing, is the ability to have mobile or browser-friendly validators and full nodes. if you look at, for instance, running a validator on Thon, I think that the minimum requirement is 64 gigs of RAM, 500 gigs of SSD storage, and I believe minimum 1 gigabit of internet, and this has to be fairly stable. So this is, it's not achievable, but it's still very big, even for a laptop. Like my laptop is like 16 gigs of RAM. And it's of course not always on. I don't have the super high bandwidth. But I think this is an area of research and product development that it hasn't been as exciting as DeFi. So people have spent all their energy on DeFi. But I think this is a core infrastructure that we still need to enable what I believe is the fat application thesis. So now, in this fat app, normally to enable a lot of things, so just having a lot of stuff on the application doesn't always solve the problem, because you then trade off. What you don't want to do is just to have a centralized app where the application controls everything. So we want to make sure decentralization is true. We want to make sure that users are in control. Traditionally, the two ways of doing these things is one, the user controls the key generation and storage, right? So like you have on your various wallets, you generate the keys, you store it. The other way is the application generates the keys and stores it. So you have a lot of Telegram bots. They generate the keys. There's not that many ways for you to export the keys, or it's very difficult. So it's really the app that controls the keys. I think what we're seeing more and more of now is this idea of this shared control, where the application and the user both generate and store key shares. So parts of the key. And there are different ways to do this, but they often involve, like some sort of ways to do, like some sort of key generation, like, they do like threshold cryptography. Bunch of people have keys and they come together, combine the key and sign stuff. And also there's now new ways of doing it with hardware, and that's easier with biometrics using passkeys. And one of the key benefits for something like this is that it enables programmable transactions. So the app developer, the tool developer can now program certain transactions that doesn't always require the users to sign. For instance, when you buy stuff with a credit card, some stuff you just tap with the credit card, whereas some stuff you have to actually type in a PIN. Secondly, it also enables feeless transactions, because now the application can pay for the fees. But instead of on the contract where account abstraction does the fee payment, this now all is done through this app. And also you can allow background jobs. So things can happen in the background where the user does not need to be there at all. Like maybe there's something that's long running. So I think the key things, and again, these are just my thoughts, but it's the idea that while we have things like account abstraction, which makes the protocol bigger, which makes protocol do more, we should also experiment with a fat application where the application is combined with the wallet. So these are either the same thing, or it's a very, the difference is very small. And there's still some tools and infrastructure that's missing to enable this. And then the second part is the idea of doing a shared key generation and storage using like various tools, including things like passkeys. And there are projects within the Ton ecosystem that are working on these type of new usability. You can even think of Telegram as like a fat app. It's just like a very big app. And I think that's where these things are kind of going. And we're working on a project in this space called joy.id. We're using passkeys and other cool tech to build better experiences for the Ton ecosystem, for Telegram bots, so that we create an experience where the app and the wallet becomes very, very seamless. And here I'm going to share some articles. So one of them's by Jeton Wallet. I think it's by Tal from Orb Network, discussing various ways that the contracts works. We have linked to JoyID, which discusses how passkeys work. And we also have discussions on what's beyond account abstraction. What's the future? And my name is Rongxin, and this is my email. And I know I was supposed to create a pull request today for people to do, but I'll be still happy to do something light where maybe people can comment and share their thoughts on this. But again, thank you, and I hope everyone is well and safe.
Thank you, Rongxin. Thanks a lot. And big thanks to everyone joining us today on Saturday. It was interesting for me, and I hope it was interesting for you. So yeah, we look forward to having you at our future events. But once again, thank you, our recording meeting in group. Thank you, guys.
No, thank you. Really appreciate it. And yeah, be well.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Take care.